Most people underestimate how quickly they can change their lives. They believe transformation takes years, but the truth is you can shift the direction of your life in just 7 days if you decide with absolute certainty that you're done living the way you've been living. Change doesn't wait for a perfect moment. It begins the second you commit to becoming someone new. The problem is many carry yesterday into today and expect tomorrow to look different. They replay the same habits, think the same thoughts, talk the same talk, and then wonder why nothing changes. If you want to become unrecognizable, you must become unrecognizable to yourself first. You must break the identity that has kept you in the same place and step into a completely new standard for your life. For 1 week, refuse to be available for excuses. Wake up earlier than you have ever done. Fill your mind with powerful thoughts and declare out loud the person you are becoming. Feed your spirit with vision, not fear. Feed your body with discipline, not laziness. Refuse every invitation from mediocrity because the old version of you will fight to survive. In just 7 days, you can create a shock to your system so strong that your life will never return to what it was. You don't have to wait for someone to rescue you because no one is coming. You are the rescuer. You are the change agent, and you are the one who decides if this week is going to be the most pivotal turning point of your life or just another wasted set of days. Replace every I can't with I will. Every maybe someday with I'm doing it now. Your language will shape your identity, and your identity will shape your destiny. Stop seeking comfort and start seeking growth. The moment you get comfortable is the moment your dreams start dying. Comfort never created greatness. Discipline does. It's not about whether you feel ready. It's about whether you're willing to move forward without permission. Most people don't need more time. They need more courage. You don't need a new year to start over. You need a new decision. And you don't have to wait for anyone's approval to start. You can become unrecognizable in 1 week if you set radical goals for your habits, your mindset, your environment, and your actions. Fill your schedule so full of intentional growth that there's no room for the old you to breathe. Shock your body by training harder. Shock your mind by reading and learning more in a week than most do in a month. Shock your spirit by praying and speaking life over yourself every single day. When you look in the mirror at the end of the week, you won't just see someone who has changed. You'll see someone who refuses to go back. Because once you taste what it feels like to live at a higher standard, you will never again accept anything less. Transformation begins the moment you commit with absolute certainty. This is where most people misunderstand change. They think it starts when the circumstances are right, when the money is available, or when they feel motivated enough. But real transformation doesn't wait for ideal conditions. It begins in an instant, in the mind, the second you draw a line in the sand and declare, enough is enough. I will never be the same again. Certainty is powerful because it leaves no room for negotiation. When you are certain, you are not trying to change, you are changing. You don't hope to improve, you improve. You don't give yourself an exit strategy because you've burned the bridges to your old life. That's why certainty is the real birthplace of transformation. Without it, you're just experimenting. With it, you are unstoppable. Think about every time you've made a real change in your life. It wasn't because someone gave you permission or because the timing was perfect. It was because you reached a breaking point where you decided you could not keep living the way you were living. That decision didn't require a calendar. It required courage, and courage is fueled by certainty. When you commit with absolute certainty, your actions shift immediately. You stop waiting for motivation to show up and start moving regardless of how you feel. You stop measuring your progress by feelings and start measuring it by actions. Feelings are temporary, decisions are powerful. When you've decided who you will become, every choice begins to align with that vision. People fail to change because they leave themselves too many options to remain the same. They say they want change, but they keep the same habits, the same environment, and the same people around them who reinforce the old identity. Absolute certainty cuts off these escape routes. It forces you to operate differently because You've already told yourself there's no turning back. Certainty also changes how you respond to setbacks. Without it, every obstacle feels like a reason to quit. With it, every obstacle becomes a test of your commitment. You don't stop when it gets hard. You expect it to get hard, and you move forward anyway. You don't see difficulties as signals to turn around. You see them as signs you're heading in the right direction, because growth always demands resistance. When you are certain, even your language changes. You stop saying, "I'll try," and start saying, "I will." You stop saying, "If it works," and start saying, "When it works." Your words carry conviction, and that conviction fuels action. And as you take action, results follow, not because you are lucky, but because you are aligned. This certainty doesn't just change what you do, it changes who you are. And when your identity shifts, everything else in your life starts to follow. Your relationships shift because you no longer tolerate people who drain your energy. Your daily habits shift because you refuse to sabotage your progress. Your environment shifts because you begin to create a space that supports your new life, not your old one. That's why the decision is the most important step. Without a real, uncompromising decision, all the strategies, plans, and tools in the world won't stick. But once you've made that decision, once you've committed with absolute certainty, you'll find that the energy, ideas, and opportunities you need begin to appear. It's almost as if life itself responds to your conviction. So if you want to become unrecognizable in 1 week, don't start by looking for a perfect plan. Start by becoming perfectly committed. Start by locking in a decision so strong that nothing can shake it. Because transformation doesn't take as long as you think. It just takes as much certainty as you can give. Every result you see in your life right now, your income, your health, your relationships, your confidence, is a direct reflection of the identity you've been living with. Your identity is like a thermostat. It sets the temperature for your actions and your expectations. If you don't change the setting, no matter how much effort you put in, you'll always snap back to the level you believe you belong at. That's why breaking your old identity is not optional, it's essential. You cannot create a new life while staying loyal to the person you've always been. If you want to become unrecognizable, you have to stop recognizing yourself in the mirror of your old habits. That means letting go of the comfort zone you've been hiding in, the excuses you've been rehearsing, and the limitations you've been defending. Your old identity will fight for its survival. It will whisper, "This is who you are. This is just how life is for you. You've always been this way." It will try to convince you to shrink back into patterns that feel safe but keep you small. If you're not careful, you'll believe it, not because it's true, but because it's familiar. The human mind craves the familiar, even when the familiar is destroying your potential. To break your identity, you have to interrupt your patterns. Start doing things that the old you would never do. If the old you avoided difficult conversations, start having them. If the old you hit snooze, get up on the first alarm. If the old you avoided risk, take bold action today. Every time you do something that violates the rules of your old identity, you weaken its grip on your life. Breaking identity is not just about what you stop doing, it's also about what you start believing. You have to feed yourself a new story about who you are. This isn't fake positivity, it's intentional reprogramming. If you've told yourself for years that you're not disciplined, you must now declare daily, "I am a disciplined person who follows through." If you've believed you're bad with money, start saying, "I am wise with money and attract opportunities to grow it." Words shape beliefs, and beliefs shape actions. Surround yourself with people and environments that affirm your new identity. The wrong environment will pull you back into old ways faster than your willpower can push forward. If you're trying to break free from a small-minded identity, stop spending your time with people who celebrate mediocrity. Get around those who expect more from themselves and from you. Your identity will rise to match the standards of the people you consistently interact with. Another key to breaking identity is upgrading your daily standards. Identity is reinforced by what you tolerate. If you've been okay with being late, missing deadlines, procrastinating, eating poorly, or speaking negatively, you've been training your identity to expect low performance. Set non-negotiables for your new self, standards that you never compromise on. Each time you uphold these standards, you reinforce the identity you're stepping into. This process won't be comfortable. The old you will resist because breaking identity is a form of death, the death of who you've been. But every ending creates room for a beginning, and every death of an old self gives birth to a stronger, wiser, more capable version of you. You must be willing to feel the discomfort of that death if you want to experience the life you're truly capable of living. The moment your identity shifts, your results will follow. You won't need to force yourself into action. You'll act naturally according to who you now believe you are. And that's when real transformation becomes unstoppable, because your behavior will be driven not by willpower, but by identity power. Excuses are the chains that keep you locked in the prison of your current life. They disguise themselves as reasons, as logic, even as good timing issues. But at the core, every excuse is just permission to stay the same. And here's the hard truth. As long as you give yourself permission to stay the same, you'll never get close to becoming the person you were meant to be. For the next 7 days, you have to treat excuses like poison, something you refuse to consume. That means catching yourself in the moment you start saying, I can't, I'm too tired, I'll do it tomorrow, or I'm just not ready yet. You must replace those thoughts instantly with decisive action. No negotiating with yourself, no debating, no waiting for perfect conditions. You move, you execute, you follow through. Radical discipline is not just about doing the work. It's about doing the work every single time, regardless of mood, energy, or circumstances. It's about setting a standard for yourself so high that the old you would call it impossible. For 7 days, you hold yourself to that standard without bending, without softening, without letting yourself slide just this once. Imagine the momentum you could create in just 1 week if you removed every excuse. Imagine waking up early without hitting snooze, eating clean without cheating, reading instead of scrolling, finishing your work ahead of schedule, exercising even when you don't feel like it, speaking positively instead of complaining, and taking action on every single goal you set for the day. In just 7 days, your life could feel unrecognizable, not because the circumstances have changed, but because you have changed. Excuses feel comfortable because they relieve pressure in the short term. But they also destroy progress in the long term. When you choose discipline over excuses, you reverse that. Discipline might feel uncomfortable now, but it will produce rewards that compound for years. And the beauty of discipline is that it works the same for everyone. It doesn't care about your past, your background, or your starting point. If you do the work, you get the results. Here's the key. Don't commit to discipline forever right now. Commit to 7 days of complete, unshakable discipline. For 1 week, live like the most committed, focused, and driven version of yourself. Treat every moment as if your future depends on it, because it does. When you go all in for 7 days, you prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you've been giving. And once you see that proof, it becomes much harder to settle for less ever again. In those 7 days, track everything. Track your habits, your wins, your energy, your progress. Write down the moments when the excuses try to creep in, and write down how you shut them down. This will give you a record of your transformation, a reminder that you can be disciplined when you choose to be. And let me be clear, radical discipline is not about perfection, it's about persistence. You will feel resistance. Your mind will look for reasons to quit. Your body will crave comfort. But that's where the growth happens, when you push past the point where you normally stop. Those extra reps in the gym, those extra minutes in study, those extra phone calls for your business, they're not just tasks, they're the moments that separate the old you from the new you. At the end of the 7 days, you will have done more than just accomplish goals. You will have rebuilt trust with yourself. And that trust is the foundation for every future victory. Because when you trust yourself to follow through, you don't just make promises, you keep them. And people who keep promises to themselves are the ones who change the world. When you refuse to settle, when you break free from the person you've been, and when you commit to living with unshakable discipline for even 1 week, you'll realize that the distance between the life you have and the life you want is smaller than you ever imagined. The gap is not measured in time, it's measured in decisions. And if you make the right ones now, the rest of your life will be unrecognizable. Your future is waiting, but it will not wait forever. Start today,